If you're like most parents and your heart swelled with some pride when your baby took those first steps, but then that pride turned to worry when you started to notice, wait a minute, my baby's up on their tippy toes almost all of the time, then you're watching the right video. Because in today's video, we're going to be doing a deep dive into what's commonly called toe walking or tippy toe walking. And here's the thing. If you're new to my channel, my name is Cherrick Gordon. I've been a pediatric physical therapist for over 25 years, and I show parents just like you how to use simple touch and movement to help your baby catch up and move ahead. So let's dive into it. What exactly is toe walking? So toe walking is exactly what it sounds like. It is your baby walking up on their tippy toes or on the balls of their feet, so that their heels lift off the ground, and sometimes they never really touch the ground. So we're going to be talking about when to worry, what to do. We're going to get into all of it. If you stick around to the end, I am going to share with you all of the exercises and activities that you can do for your baby and when to seek some outside help if that's something that you're going to need. Okay? So when babies first start walking around 12 to 15 months, they're experimenting. They're trying to figure things out. So it's important that you realize that, okay, if your baby is less than 2 years old, then you really shouldn't worry that much if your baby is now learning to walk and your baby is up on their tippy toe. I'm talking about, is your baby reaching for a doorknob and so they rise up on their tippy toes? That's not a cause for concern. The majority of babies do spend some time walking on tippy toes, and it's a normal phase of learning movement. But if it's continuous past that age, or if it's happening all the time, that's when we need to take a closer look. So that's when it's time to take a deep dive into it. By the end of this video, here's what you're going to learn. You're going to know the how, the when, the what, the where, the why of toe walking. We're going to cover when to simply watch and wait, but we're also going to go beyond that. We're going to talk about stretches and exercises you can do at home, and we're going to talk about when to seek professional help. And I promise we're going to do it all in plain, simple English. So let's talk about some education benchmarks. What exactly is toe walking, and what point should you say, okay, you know what? This is something serious. Is it a phase or is it something more serious? If your baby is over the age of 3, most clinicians like to say, if your baby is over the age of 3, then you need to be concerned. But if you baby is below the age of 3, then you really shouldn't worry about it. I like to say, look a little bit deeper, pay attention, and see if something else is going on. See if you're noticing other symptoms, if you're seeing other developmental signs that are showing up at the same time. I like to call those the red flag clusters. The red flag clusters is a whole bunch of things that are happening at the same time. For instance, if your baby is toe walking, but they're also falling often, they're not speaking, or they don't have a lot of vocabulary, they're avoiding eye contact, or they're not responding to their name, that's a sign that you need to dig deeper. There's some specific things that we're going to get into some of those later on. There's something called toe walking autism. It's a sign that one of the classic signs of autism. Baby has balance problems, baby has developmental delays. So let's take a look at some of the common non-medical reasons that your baby might wind up being a toe walker. Let's say that your baby is walking on their tippy toes and you're like, you know what? Is it just a habit? It could be just a habit that's stuck around. They got started on their toes. They liked the way it feels, and so they kept on doing it. It could also be a sensory preference. Your baby might just love the way the carpet feels or the tile feels or the hardwood floor. Or you might have baby might have some tightness in their calf muscle, their hamstrings, or their Achilles tendon, which is that muscle that goes right down the back of baby's heel. So those are some things to keep an eye on. If the muscle stays tight for too long, your baby will wind up walking with their feet up on their tippy toes most of the time. And then if they go down on their flat feet, it might become something where they're not able to get all the way down on flat feet, and they find themselves where it might actually be painful. So let's talk about when you should seek some extra help. You want to ask yourself 3 simple questions. One is the frequency. How often is your baby up on their tippy toes? Is your baby walking on their tippy toes a lot? Is your baby spending more than half the time on their tippy toes? You also want to look for symmetry. Is one foot on tippy toe but not the other? Then that's a problem. You also want to look at flexibility. Can the baby get their heels flat on the ground with help, or they can't get down at all? If you're saying yes to any of these questions, it's time to call in a pediatric physical therapist. Because these signs can mean something deeper, from tight heel cords to neurological causes like mild cerebral palsy, spina bifida, or sensory processing disorders. So let's talk a little bit about what is neurological or structural toe walking and what's the difference. Think of it this way. Think of it as hardware versus software. If it's neurological, it's a software issue. The brain is sending the wrong signals for your baby to rise up on their tippy toes, and baby tends to walk on their tippy toes, but this baby may have full range of motion. If it's an anatomical issue, it's more of like a hardware issue. Your baby has tight calves, short tendons, or limited range of motion. And so if you separate them out in that way, you'll be able to figure out what it is that's going on with your little one and why your little one may be walking on their tippy toes. Both might look the same from the outside, but they have totally different approaches. There's a special test called the silver fold test, and clinicians use this test to help them figure out what is going on with your baby, whether your baby is walking on the tippy toes because it's a neurological issue or because it's a structural issue with your baby having tight heel cords. And so this test specifically measures baby's ankle dorsiflexion. That's how far the foot can bend upwards towards the shin. If the ankle moves freely, the problem is most likely coming from your baby's brain or your baby's sensory system. If it's stiff, it's probably muscular or structural. Now, early diagnosis matters because these signals keep tightening the muscles, and eventually the tendons will wind up shortening, and your baby will not be able to get that range of motion back once it's lost. And so it's important that you get these answers quickly as soon as you figure out that there's a problem. So here are some things that we can do. What are some things that we can do at home? I think this is going to be the fun part of our presentation. What are some fun things that you can do at home with your baby? Let's say you're starting off with your baby and your baby is a little one, a young one, like an actual baby, and you feel like their heel cords are too tight. Here is a simple stretch that you can do at home. And as a matter of fact, you can move your baby's ankles around. You will know if your baby is feeling too stiff or not, or has normal movement in their heel cords or their ankle joint. So if you put your baby to sit on your lap, let's say you're stretching baby's right heel cords. Put your baby to sit on your right leg facing away from you, like I'm sitting here with this baby on my lap, and take your right hand, put your hand behind baby's knee so that baby's lower leg is kind of loose and relaxed. Now, once this happens, this means that baby's calf muscles are relaxed. And then what you can do is use your other hand to bring baby's toes upwards, bend baby's ankle upwards while keeping the knee bent as if you're trying to bring the toes up to touch the knee. And then you go ahead and straighten the knee. Now you're really stretching his heel cords. You can see that he turned and he looked at me like, what are you doing? He's feeling the stretch. I like this position because this position, you can rock baby side to side. You can talk to baby. You can hug baby. You can rotate and continue to stretch and be able to get baby to accept the stretch and relax into the stretch and not keep on resisting the stretch. There's this tendency for baby to resist the stretch early on. So here it is. I'm going over this again. 1, put your index finger behind baby's knee so that the lower calf muscle, the lower leg is relaxed. Then you take your other hand, bring those toes up. Baby's ankle should be super flexible. Bring the toes up as if you're trying to get the toes to touch the knee, and then you straighten the knee, and now baby's actually stretching. You can see he's having some slight discomfort there, and now I'm rocking him, I'm talking to him, I'm singing to him, and I'm cueing him to be able to keep on accepting the stretch and take the stretch without going ahead and without fussing or crying. You can see he's not in too much discomfort, and we're stretching the entire time. What you can do if both of your baby's heel cords are tight, what you want to do at this point is go ahead and switch baby to the other side and then go ahead and stretch baby's other legs. You want to hold the stretch for about 30 to 60 seconds. I like to hold it for as long as baby will tolerate it. And then I go ahead and switch baby onto my other leg and do the same process again with the other leg. You can get a very nice stretch and try to get ahead of the game by stretching your baby's heel cords. You can also give baby something to distract them while you're stretching, and go ahead and get a good quality stretch in there while baby is distracted and you are doing what you need to do. So that is one of the stretches that you can do for your little one. Another stretch that you can do if your baby is beyond 3 years old, if your baby is, let's say your baby is a toddler and your baby's walking around like this where they're up on their tippy toes, another stretch that you can do is called a toe calf stretch, where you have your baby stand at the end of a stairs, the lower stair, let baby bring their heels down, encourage baby to kind of lower their heels below the horizontal rather, to where baby is doing a calf stretch and just relaxing that calf muscle by stretching it in this way, and then come back up. You want to do this stretch and hold this position for about 5 to 10 seconds and then come back up. Now, you want to repeat this about 10 to 15 times. And of course, you want to do this several times a day. Another stretch that you can do for your baby is the classic wall calf stretch, where you have baby stand and put both hands up against the wall, lean forward, put one leg forward, and the calf that is being stretched, you want to make sure that baby's heel is down on the ground and baby holds this position. I shouldn't say baby. This is obviously not a baby. This is my daughter, and she's just modeling, but the process is the same if you're doing it with a toddler, and have baby hold that position for 30 seconds. You want to then switch legs and repeat the process and do this a couple of times a day. So let's move on and talk a little bit about when to seek some outside help. Now, about 90% of babies that are toe walkers you'll find that the toe walking will go away on its own. But if it doesn't, and you're wondering, okay, when is it time to seek some outside help? Then you want to pay attention and make sure that you get some help if you notice that you tried all of these things and baby is not getting any better. Baby is not, they're not getting better. Their calves are still tight. They're still up on their tippy toes. Then you know that it's time to seek help. You can seek help and get some outside assistance if you find that baby is not getting better and you've been practicing this for quite some time. You've been doing all the exercises that I showed you. Now, there's something called a SMO, which is a short brace that you will fit inside of baby's shoes to encourage heel contact. That's something you would need to get a prescription for. You would need to see an orthopedic doctor or an orthotist and have it custom made for your baby. There's also something called the ankle foot orthosis, which is braces that go higher up around your baby's calf and goes inside baby's shoes. So these braces will help, especially if your baby has what's commonly referred to as neurological toe walking versus a structural toe walking where your baby's heel cords are too tight. There's also something called a nighttime brace where it keeps your baby in dorsiflexion. This one is super difficult to do. You need to put it on your baby for about 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours while they're sleeping. So these aren't quick fixes. Sometimes correction can take up to 2 years, but with consistent follow through, the results can be long lasting. So here's what I want you to remember. Toe walking is often just a phase, but consistent one-sided or stiff patterns deserve your attention early. The sooner you act, the easier it is to correct, and the faster your little one can walk, run, and climb confidently. If you found this breakdown helpful, please like, hit subscribe, and share this with another parent who's wondering if their baby's tiptoes are something to worry about. I'm Cherrick, a pediatric physical therapist. I'll see you in the next session, where we keep turning simple touch and movement into strength and brain development. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.